Everybody, I'm Kathy Hester, and you are watching Plant-Based Chat, where I introduce you to cool people that either I'm friends with or want to be friends with. There is no in between. As you can see outside of my window, it is sunny, it is warm. I have been beaten down and the air conditioning is on. It's official. Those of you in Florida are laughing at me, but there's only so much humidity one individual can take. And Cheryl is here too. So please say hi. Let me know how the weather is where you are, where you're watching from, and just welcome. I'm thrilled to have you. Thrilled is the word. I had to even think hard about that one. So today I have Lyndsay Dean, who you may or may not know made this. I know all of you guys see this and you're like, where did you get this mug? Where can I get this mug? And I'm like, the Vegan Potter. You have to go to the Vegan Potter. So I don't know that I ever say your name, Lyndsay, until now. You're just okay. Mysterious Vegan Potter. So, and she makes things that are not vegan, but she makes lots of cool things. So if you've gone to Plant-Based Instant Pot recently, last year when I was at my friend Dawn's, she had some of Lyndsy's pottery bowls. And so I did some shoots with those. And CJ is here from cold and rainy Scotland. Every time you come in, I just want to sit in front of the fire with you and cozy up. So I don't know if that's welcome or not, but I just feel like Scotland is a place I want to be cozy. What about you, Lyndsay? You feel it?
I have never been there, but it is part of my dad's heritage, and I would love to go there someday. Yeah.
Ooh, I see. And with me being such a Harry Potter fan too, but I've always wanted to go to the UK, all over the UK, but Scotland especially. And I love the Irish and Scottish accents. I just love the beautiful sing-songiness of it. And
Me
I think
too.
yeah. And Lydia says hi from Canada. CJ said that sounds good. I'll make a special tea. How about that? And Liz is in West Virginia, and it's cold and rainy there. And I believe, unless you're from somewhere else, not in this country, it's West Virginia, and I'm sticking with it. So Lyndsay and I met when I was at, and I'm going to say it wrong. Okay, there's lots of things. Worcester Veg Fest. Now, see, I'm still saying it wrong, aren't I?
Why don't you? I honestly don't know if there's a right way to say it. We say Worcester.
Worcester.
That might not be correct either. No,
it is correct. And I just can't do it. And people will say it over and over. Like 1 out of 100 times I say Worcestershire sauce correctly, and it'll just come out. And then next time I'm like, duh. And actually, in Kathy's Cooking Club, I think I shared a video. Someone on TikTok was telling you how to say it phonetically. And I need a cheat sheet here all the time. And hey, Apple, and it's rainy greetings from Vancouver, BC. And Linda is also in Canada at 69 degrees. Yesterday was 85 with 95% humidity. That sounds a lot like my life. Yeah. Yeah. And Lyndsay, I know you're in Massachusetts. What city are you in?
Actually, in Connecticut.
I guess I decide you're in Massachusetts because that's where I met you.
Well, we met in Massachusetts, so that makes sense. But yeah, I live in southeastern Connecticut, Stonington, to be pinpointing on a map. It's a beautiful coastal seaside town, and I can't imagine a more beautiful place to live. I've lived in lots of places, including Montreal. So hi to my Canadian friends. I lived there for a decade, and I almost moved there forever. Love Canada.
Oh, I love it, and I love Canada as well. It's awesome. So we were at the we were at that Veg Fest, and it was very interesting because I had just started doing lives then. I think this was like in 2018, 2017. It was a while back.
Yeah.
And so they were just like, hey, you want to come next month? And I was like, sure. And then I was going around, my favorite part of the Veg Fest is the tasting and the shopping, especially the shopping, right? And so I saw this mug and I was like, okay, this needs to be mine. And there were some other little things. And then Lyndsay knew who I was, and I was like super shocked. And she's like, here, take these other beautiful things. And I'm like, really? Are you sure? And yeah, and I use them in my photos, and I love your work, and I talk about it all the time. And Lydia is in Montreal, who watches, so she hangs out with us a lot. And Kelly is in Syracuse, New York, and it's around 78 and a severe thunderstorm warning. Oh no, it's been rainy for days here, or like threatening to rain, kind of.
Yeah, we've had a ton of rain this whole season. I mean, blessings to the rain, right? And people out west haven't had rain, people in Florida. But we have thunderstorm warnings later on tonight too, so it's probably that same system.
Okay. Yeah, I saw something about that today too. But Lyndsay was just so kind and generous and thoughtful, and was like, no, thank you for everything you do to the community. I mean, it just made me all super warm and fuzzy. And we've stayed in touch, and there's been times I've been like, hey, want to come to this class? Out of the blue. And she's like, yes, I'll come to your Halloween class. And I was like, yay, right? But what you may not know is that Lyndsay also cooks and does recipes. And so I'm going to kind of throw it over to you to kind of complete your introduction and maybe talk about some of the things, like especially your membership, where you can do a pottery membership or you get recipes or different things like that, and let people know how well-rounded you are.
Oh, thanks, Kathy. That was so lovely, and I feel warm and fuzzy about you too. You were in my brain like celebrity status when you came up to my table. I had some of your cookbooks. I just admired you so much. And it was before there was a lot of live stuff going on in social media land. So now my admiration for you has gone through the roof, because I just am so impressed, and I have no idea how you haven't cloned yourself to manage all the things that you manage on your plate, because I'm just like, how is she in her kitchen all the time and all these new videos and all these emails and like so well organized? So I aspire
I'm glad
to those.
It appears that I'm so well organized, because I am so not. But thank you.
It definitely appears that way. So you're doing a good job. But no, I've been a vegan for going on 30 years and making pots for nearly as long. Which is why I call myself the vegan potter. I get a lot of questions about like, what makes the pottery vegan? And pottery is naturally vegan by the sheer fact that any organic materials are completely burned out in the kiln. So although clay and glazes are typically not made from any animal ingredients, they are mined materials that come out of the earth. And are certainly not renewable. So there's a balance that I try to have in reusing everything I possibly can use. And clay can be recycled if it doesn't work out the first time. If it's not fired, it can be recycled and reused again. So by virtue of the fact that, you know, the components of clay and glaze are naturally vegan, that's my Instant Pot that you're here beeping. I've got beans in there. Now I feel like you.
Right? There's always something going on.
Totally. So that's why I started calling myself a vegan potter. And I really enjoyed going to veg fests when we were more out in the world as a people before COVID. It's difficult to travel with pottery, and it's a lot of effort and many days of planning and packing. And so I don't do them as often. But it's a great way to meet my tribe. I call it my vegan tribe, right? I'm representing. My shirt says vegan is magic, if you can't see the whole thing, but because it is magic, it's like this wonderful community to be a part of that I have found to be incredibly welcoming and non-judgmental. Any part of the path you're on, or if you're not on the vegan path and you're just plant curious, like awesome, which is part of what I love about your audience as well. But yeah, so I have a pottery studio here in Stonington where my retail shop is right in my workspace. So when people come in, they can see me making work, and they can see the whole, it's like when you walk into a restaurant and you can see the whole kitchen and you're like, ooh, all the behind the scenes, you know, you're getting like the sneak peek. It's the same thing in my shop, because I'm definitely a self-proclaimed voyeur when it comes to people's kitchens and pottery studios. I want to see everything, how you've got everything set up, what kind of appliances you have, all that stuff. So yeah, I have my shop open 5 days a week in Stonington. It's just me. There isn't anybody else manning the shop. So it's a one-woman show. And at night I come home and I make vegan food for my husband and I've been sharing recipes on my website for many years. There's a pretty good library built up on theveganpotter.com. And recently in January of this year, I launched what I had been ruminating over for many years, a members option on my website. So if you go to theveganpotter.com and you click at the menu bar, the join and learn button will take you to a page that will show you the 3 different member options. And just really quickly, the first one is enthusiast or admirer. It's the least expensive option, and it's basically like get a little behind the scenes peek. You get special access to second sales and things that aren't open to the general public. The next option is the foodie groupie member, and those are for the people who are plant curious or already on the vegan path and looking for member exclusive recipes. There's what I call the goodies gallery, which is a gallery of all the food that I've been making and sort of what it is, and some video tutorials about the basics of tofu and the basics of tempeh, and most recently posted a lot of what we're going to talk about today, actually, which is Buddha bowls and quick, easy meals that don't have to be labored over and thought about and planned out. You can make it with what you've got left over in your fridge.
And that's so, I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt for just a minute because it's so important. There's 2 things we've been talking about a lot. So one, I did a bowl class a few weeks ago too, just to kind of get an idea. But I feel like, we're kind of in year 3 of COVID. It's a little bit, it's still here, obviously, and things like that. And so I feel a lot of us are more tired, me included. And we're working on getting my thyroid meds, right? Which means I'm even more tired. So sometimes it's like, do I clean the bathroom, take a walk, or make some dinner? I got one choice.
I feel that.
Right? And that's what I want to just emphasize what you said, that you can take the things that are in your fridge also and then roll into these things. And when Lyndsay and I were talking about this, I think it's such a timely thing because food costs are going up for us, for restaurants. It's going to be more important for us to eat at home. To eat at home, if you're not used to cooking every single day or every single meal, it takes more energy than you think. But there are ways around that, or ways of thinking ahead. And on Saturdays now, I just did my first CSA unboxing. And so we're going to talk on Saturdays about prepping some of our food when we get it. That's where I go wrong. I don't know about you, Lyndsay, but like, I'm so proud of myself. I had this giant bunch of Swiss chard and I got the stems all ready to stem. And I chiffonaded the Swiss chard. And so yesterday when I did a demo, I just had to reach in there and grab a handful. I'm like, oh, a handful would be great here. But awesome. I'm going to stop interrupting. Well, while I've interrupted you, Apple says that she's on your Instagram and you were a yoga teacher too. Cool. I'm a retired yoga teacher.
Scrolled back. That's so funny. Yeah, I'm definitely a retired yoga teacher.
That's awesome. So go back and start telling us about Buddha bowls, how you started making them, and what makes them easier for you.
Well, I'm going to be honest. When you first asked me to do this with you, I was so honored and touched and excited. And I thought, oh, I better get to planning because you asked me what I wanted to talk about. And I thought, oh, let's talk about what my husband and I eat most often, which is Buddha bowls. And then as the day approached and as our lives are busy and as I already have too many things on my plate, we're in the process of building a house, I'm managing my business, we have a friend coming to stay this weekend, I need to now clean my entire, all the prep work that goes in before someone comes to stay with you. Mm-hmm. And she's coming from Toronto, by the way, or no, London, Ontario, for those of you watching from Canada. My friend is coming to visit. She's driving here. And I just thought, what am I doing? I don't need to prep for this. I need to go in my fridge, like I'm telling everyone else to do, and pull out what I have, and then decide what kind of bowl I'm making, and decide if there's some kind of theme that can be conceptualized. And when I say theme, I mean, is it going to be a Mexican-inspired bowl? Is it going to be an Indian-inspired bowl? Is it Italian-inspired? Is it none of the above? And then just based on what I have on hand. I cook a lot, and I'm actually in process right now, on top of everything else, of taking an online culinary course through the Food Future Institute, which it's a lot. it's a serious like year-long endeavor, and I started it in October and I just hit the halfway mark. And I thanks, but so I always now, because I'm doing those lessons, I always have bits of things that I wouldn't normally have left in my fridge already. So it's perfect for exactly this kind of meal. And really, this is what my husband asks for 9 times out of 10. He doesn't care about fancy food. He just wants something in a bowl with a sauce, and he wants to mix it up, and he's happy. So it's great.
And I love your attitude. So, and that's really important. I do the same thing. So like I'll be doing a class or something, and then all of a sudden I'll like totally nut myself out. I'll be like, oh my God, I should do 17 recipes. I'm only doing 6 recipes, and I should do this. And so a lot of my classes have become like, I just did a salad class last week, and we made the things as we went along, right? Because it's like what you're doing today. I think sometimes when we're teaching, we forget what it is that people need to learn, and we think we need to bring them something that's super fancy and perfect. And if someone's coming to a Salad 101 class, they don't need to know all the ways to make ranch. They just need to know one way to make ranch, right? But I want to go all the way. So I'm dividing things up into different classes. So I think this is perfect. And what I really want to do, especially now, is to really show people that it's super obtainable to eat at home. So I'm going to go ahead and put you on full screen and let you do your thing. If you want to pull stuff out of the fridge, we'll see you back and forth, and then when you're ready to work, or you got everything out?
I think I have everything on the counter from the fridge. I do have in my Instant Pot, I threw in some black beans, which were just dry. I just had like a remnant bag, a cup of black beans. The other thing I do with these kinds of bowls is I don't measure anything. I just open my spice drawer, which is right in front of me. All my spices are flat in the drawer, and I just pull out the spices I would, use to spice up some black beans. And so the theme I'm working with today, based on what I had, is sort of going in the Mexican or like buffalo sauce maybe situation for this Buddha bowl. So I've got some rice on the stove that I pre-cooked before we went live, and I've got my black beans, which obviously just went off in the Instant Pot. I seasoned them with cumin and garlic powder and onion powder, a little bit of salt, and some chipotle, and then also it's this spice brand, sweet and smoky cinnamon chipotle, which you could make this yourself with some cinnamon and chipotle and probably chili powder, but it has smoked paprika and a touch of brown sugar, sea salt, garlic, onion, black pepper, but it's just already made. This is my friend from the Spice Beast. He makes great spice blends, so
you should send me that link or put it as a comment on the YouTube video so people can go check it out.
I'll absolutely do that. He's out of New Jersey, I think, and I met him at a Veg Fest, so it was kind of serendipitous to be able to work with him to create some vegan recipes, because his website was very meat heavy, and I was like, if you're trying to break into the Veg Fests, you need to have some things for us vegans to look at, or we're not going to be going on your website much. So I helped him, get a little bit more ensconced in the plant-based world. But I'm going to just turn my camera to face my workspace. You let me know if that looks appropriate.
That looks great.
Awesome. And I have pulled just a bunch of things out of the fridge. I also really think a lot about eating the rainbow, right? So I have a little piece of a red pepper that needs to get used up. I've got a can of corn that I opened. I've got a cucumber that definitely needs to get eaten. I've got some red cabbage. I've got a regular onion. And then I've also got some I love these little heirloom tomatoes because they're just different colors.
They're so pretty.
That's my one reason. They are. There's like yellow ones in there. So they're really pretty, and I love having a little bit of that color. And then I also pulled out it's easy, you know, to get caught up in like, oh, I gotta make everything from scratch. And I do try to make a lot of things from scratch, but I love this Campfire roasted salsa, which is by Culinary Tours.
Ooh.
Um, it's got a smoky flavor to it, so you know, just as an option. But my other favorite thing, my husband and I both like a little spice kick, and these sliced golden peppercini peppers are yummy too, and they're already sliced, and I just throw them on top of stuff, on top of salads, all kinds of stuff. So I was just going to chop some stuff up. This is kind of how I begin to prep for my Buddha bowls. And in talking about making Buddha bowls, I just wanted to show you two of the vessels that we love to eat out of every day. I call this a plate because it's got a flat bottom and it's not exactly a plate and it's not exactly a bowl. These are just really lovely for presentation of, I like to just make everything pretty, and I like to line up all the colors of the rainbow and then drizzle with sauce, and then you go ahead and mix it up when you go to eat it. And then this is some new clay that I've been working with and I'm kind of obsessed with.
It's
got a
gorgeous.
really pretty speckle. Thanks. And this is just a really simple white matte glaze inside, so it just highlights the beauty of the natural clay. So these are the types of things that I love to plate Buddha bowls in. And it just makes it a little bit easier presentation wise, but honestly, you can just toss everything in a bowl and be done with the whole situation. You certainly don't have to do any beautification of the process because the yum factor takes over, right?
But if you are jonesing for those plates like I am, don't forget you can go to theveganpotter.com and get your own.
Yeah, I definitely will be launching. I've been doing work with a restaurant called The Shipwright's Daughter, which is local to us here. It's in Mystic, Connecticut. So people who aren't familiar with Stonington might be more familiar with the word Mystic as far as associating a coastal town in the Connecticut area, because it's very touristy, Mystic. And we are just 5 minutes down the road here in Stonington. But yeah, we have a wonderful time here, and there's some beautiful cabbage. So I just try to do like a small handful of each thing. I'll probably do 2 of these bowls because we'll be eating them for dinner, and I'll just put a damp paper towel over the top of them and stick them in the fridge for later. And then our dinner is done.
Yay, I love that. There's a couple of pottery questions. One is, do you ship to Canada? I'm going to assume that's probably a yes, but I don't know.
I sadly don't ship internationally.
Oh, okay.
I tried that a few years ago and was just totally disgruntled by customs and how long things sit at customs and how broken things end up arriving.
That makes sense.
So I sadly had to had to stop that situation.
And then the other question is, do you use all lead-free glazes?
Yes, absolutely, 100%. Everything is lead-free. Most potters in this day and age are very aware of the lead situation, and as are most glaze companies. It's not that easy to find a glaze that contains lead that is commercially manufactured these days. So, but it is a good question to be aware of, to ask for sure.
That pepper's so pretty.
I love red peppers. Yeah, red and yellow peppers are my favorite, and then I often find that I'm forgetting to have green pepper because I always just go for the colorful things. I'm going to cut this up a little smaller just so that I also like to play with the size of the pieces that I cut up in the bowl. It's just a fun way to eat when things are different textural elements, different components of sizes and things can make a meal that much more interesting. And it's such a simple thing to do when you're prepping your ingredients. So I'll have to get my compost bucket over here in a minute.
I feel you. I'm getting ready to break down a few pineapples and some things, so I have like a big bowl ready.
Yeah, we have, we don't have a formal composter in our yard, but we do have a compost pile. So it does invite some critters into the backyard, but we like the critters, so we're happy to feed them plant-based food.
And they're happy to eat it, I'm sure.
And they're happy to eat it, exactly. So this corn, the situation with corn in my mind is like you can eat it out of the can, right? You don't have to do anything special to prepare it or fix it. You can heat it up if you want to, but I love having some cooked components in a Buddha bowl and some raw components in a Buddha bowl. So the corn could go either way. You could warm it up or you can leave it as is, and I'm going to choose to leave it as is for this purpose. It's basically room temperature at this stage anyway.
So at this point, you're planning on whatever the sauce is going to flavor everything.
Everything.
Okay.
Yeah, the sauce basically ends up being the star of the dish. Yeah, and we're addicted to peanut sauce in our family, but I feel like I've done peanut sauce so much in videos that I didn't want to do a peanut sauce today.
Peanut sauce is awesome.
I know, I love it, and it's so easy to make. How do you make yours, Kathy?
It kind of changes sometimes. I really like making a peanut red curry coconut sauce a lot, which sounds way more complicated. Like literally I get some red Thai curry paste, put it in with some coconut milk and some peanut butter, and maybe add some cilantro or something like that. Maybe a little lemongrass if I have it available. But nice. I also will just do just like some soy sauce, peanut sauce, or peanut butter, rice wine vinegar, ginger, garlic. How about you?
Yeah, a lot of those same things, although that curry sounds kind of amazing. Yeah, we use the only kind of peanut butter we eat is just like a natural, non-sweetened, non-salted, basically just ground peanuts. So I use a little bit of peanut butter, a little bit of water, fresh ginger, fresh garlic, a touch of rice wine vinegar, touch of soy sauce, a touch of sriracha sometimes if I want to add a little bit of spice. And then what else do I put in there? Usually a little bit of if I want to spice it up with something else, I might add a little bit more heat with some chili powder or something like that. But generally keep it pretty simple. And I just love making it because it stays in the fridge for a long time and it goes on all kinds of stuff.
And it's true, hot food or cold food. And Apple says that it's either peanut or tahini or almond sauce over here every day.
No kidding. I haven't tried almond.
I know. You would love Apple too. And I may butcher this name. Saritha, I think it is. And if I'm wrong, please forgive me. What are we making today? Lyndsay of the Vegan Potter is showing us how to make a Buddha bowl. So basically she's using different little scraps right now, like things that she already had, like some cabbage, and she's doing all the fresh vegetables for the Buddha bowl. She already told us she had made some rice ahead of time, and we heard the Instant Pot beep with the black beans, so we're going to be seeing some of that soon. And I suspect from what she showed us, there's going to be some salsa involved.
Possibly salsa, definitely. So here's the thing. The other day I needed for a recipe, what did they call this? Silken tofu.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
And I never know what the heck to do with it after I've had to only portion out a section for that previous recipe. So when I opened the fridge today, I thought, I was also thinking about your audience, and I also know that you try to stay away from a lot of oil and things like that, and a lot of people do, as do I. And I thought, I could make a really nice, simple buffalo sauce with two key ingredients, the silken tofu and some Red Hot original sauce with a little bit of garlic powder, onion powder, a little bit of salt. And this will make a beautiful, instead of using like a mayonnaise or an oil base or something like that. So what do you think?
I think that sounds great. I have two other things. One is that I made a mayonnaise just with silken tofu, a little bit of apple cider vinegar, salt, and some lemon zest that I blended up. That was delicious. And I'm going to tell you what I'm obsessed with, and you do not have to do this. But I don't know. I've decided since Saturday, everything that comes into my head, I want to make it pineapple jalapeno cilantro. I want to make a fruit
My
leather.
husband would die for that. That's
I've got a
great idea.
dressing.
Ooh.
I made a pineapple teriyaki sauce already. Like, so I'm obsessed, and you do not need to do it, but that was like what popped up in my head.
So I made a great teriyaki sauce a couple of weeks ago, and I still have a little bit of it left in the fridge because the recipe made like a pint size, and it was a recipe I pulled off the internet, which is typically what I'll do if there's a sauce and I'm just trying to conceptualize how am I going to make this. I'll look at 3 or 4 recipes from your page or from someone else's page, and I'll go, first of all, do I have all this stuff? Second of all, do I like all this stuff? Because I'm not a cilantro lover, but my husband loves cilantro. So I have to, in certain permutations of it, I like it, but he'll eat it no matter what we do with it. And then I look at the recipe and think, like, how much does it make? And I sort of put it away, and then I go from there. And I go, okay, I have a gist of how to put this together. But I had never made a homemade teriyaki sauce, which I know is crazy with how much I cook, but it was really good. It's delicious.
And there's a first time for everything. That's how I think that's such a good way to do things, is that it's great if you have someone that you like to go to and you use their recipe, but I'm always telling people, you know, and sometimes even in class I'll be like, I'm giving you the real recipe, but I didn't have X, so let me show you what I'm going to put in there instead, because and I'm going to go back to our double view for just a minute since you're up there. So I'm that kid and this is going to tell you just how old I am. So I had the children's encyclopedia growing up because we did not have the interwebs, people, and that's how
I did too, Kathy.
Okay, so that's how we learned about the things. So in the children's encyclopedia, I'd make my little grilled cheese sandwich, and I want it to be just like the picture, and there were 5 potato chips. So if my mother put 6 potato chips, 1 went back. If there were 3 potato chips, So like it's so funny that I'm the way I am now, but it took a long time to overcome it because I was like, no, I need to do exactly what they said because they have all these reasons that I couldn't possibly understand. Well, you know, I used lovage a lot in one of my cookbooks because I was growing it that year. Right? So
Awesome.
do what you need to do. I'm going to let you go back to full screen and continue on because I think you're doing amazing and I want some of that.
I know. Well, I haven't eaten all day, so I think this might end up being my late lunch, but
I haven't either.
Let's see where I've got some, I made some jasmine rice.
Ooh.
Right?
Yeah.
Just really simple. I didn't spice it with anything. I rarely cook rice on the stove because I'm always cooking it in my Instant Pot. It's just like I love the set it and forget it mentality while I'm doing other things. But I wanted to make the beans, and the beans and the rice, because the beans were not soaked, couldn't cook together. So I'm like, well, I'm learning better how to make rice on the stove now, and I don't have 2 Instant Pots, which I can see the benefit of now, because I know you have a number of them.
Well,
and every time I'm like, ooh, but you can do those at the same time in different ones. Like, oh, that's exciting.
It's very true. Karen's saying she's obsessed with Dr. McDougall's Asian dressing recipe.
Okay, cool.
Oh, and you know, do you know this? Because I don't. Kathy is asking, how did Budda bowls get their name? It was that name that made it sound more complicated than it is. For years, I thought Budda bowls were out of my league. I just found out they were just piles in a bowl. That's awesome, Kathy.
Isn't that funny? I don't know exactly how they got their name, but I would speculate that it has to do with simplification and non-fancy things. And it's so funny that name gave her a different connotation. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, right? Sometimes we just don't look at things because of what they're called.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's
and
see
one more pottery question. Brazen Spirituality is surfing your site, and the item that she wants is sold out and wants to know if your listings are seasonal or limited, or will you be making more sunflower bee mugs soon?
Yeah, I definitely tell her, or I can tell her, the best thing to do is to email me if there's an item that's out of stock, and I email you right back the same day. Typically, I check my email too many times a day. And I love communicating directly with clients. Again, it's just me. There's nobody else answering my email. I do all my social media. So if we direct message on social media, it's me you're talking to. And I definitely plan to restock those. In fact, sometimes what happens is because when I make a grouping of work, I have to stock my retail shop, my brick and mortar in-person shop, and then I also have to stock my online shop. So it's really two separate places in my brain and how they need to be divided so that I don't sell the work out of the retail shop that's available in the online shop. And sometimes when an item sells out online, I might have one or two of them still in my retail shop. And so I can go, oh, I don't always get on and look to see what's sold out. And so sometimes it instigates me to like replenish inventory if something is still available. So, and I feel like I might have one of those bee and sunflower mugs in stock in the shop. So email me, we can work it out this week and figure out how to get it to you.
And Brazen Spirituality, when you get that mug, I want you to give us a picture of you with that mug that we can share.
Oh, that would be awesome. It's so rare that a client sends me, I call them pots in the wild. It's so rare that I get to see pots in the wild. So please, please, please definitely share that with me too. I would love it. I love to see those kinds of things. So I'm going to pull my beans out of my Instant Pot. They did the cool down on their own because I wasn't over there to like, shift the needle.
Natural pressure release. Such a fancy word for nothing.
I know, for nothing, exactly. So these, if we had smell-o-vision, which I can't wait for, maybe before our lifetimes end, these smell amazing. And you can see how hot they are, but they're perfectly cooked. Some of the little skins have split open, so it's a good indicator. But again, I just threw in garlic powder, onion powder, a little bit of cumin, a little bit of salt, a little bit of chipotle, and some of that cinnamon smoky chipotle seasoning from my friend, the Spice Beast. So hopefully those will be delicious. So I think it's time to work on this. Let's see what this will be. This is on the fly, you guys. Like, you're seeing it happen and be created right before your very eyes. So it might be good that we don't have taste-o-vision if this doesn't turn out to taste that good. But
no, it's going to be brilliant.
Okay?
And what you're going to do is you're going to be tweaking it until it tastes good enough for you to eat. So people are going to get to see that process. It's brilliant.
Exactly. This silken tofu has so much liquid associated to it. So I'm just going to hold this over the sink for a moment and drain out whatever liquid I can get out. But the nice thing about using this, the silken stuff, is that it does have a beautiful creamy consistency to it already without having to do too much. I'm going to use my immersion. Is that what these are called? Emulsion blender? Okay. Immersion blender. I'm going to use that because it comes apart. So you just wash this part. I kind of love it. But I would like to upgrade to a stainless steel one at some point. So, and that's just not going to come out fast enough for my taste. So we're just going to.
That happens to me so many times.
Yeah. I'm like, I already know I want a lot of that. So let's worry about that later.
You don't like cilantro, but Cheryl doesn't like spicy food. So like things like sriracha, I end up putting on top of bowls.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. No, my husband has a way more tolerance for spicy stuff. So this is just onion powder. I'm probably putting like a 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder. And I would say this is probably a cup or so of silken tofu. And I probably put a good 4 or 5 tablespoons of the hot sauce in there. And this is garlic powder. Again, same thing, about a 1/4 teaspoon. And then I think I'm going to do a little pinch of salt. So here's another item that I make.
So cute.
I need to put some of these up on the website. I call these salt pigs or salt cellars. And I always keep a little bit of kosher salt in them. And it just sits next to the stove. The concept of these, and I swear to God it works, because people are like, doesn't this salt clump? First of all, you want kosher salt in here, right? So it's a bigger crystal. But the concept is that the dome shape sort of aerates things and it doesn't clump, even right next to the stove. The proof in the pudding for me was having this next to my stove in a very teeny tiny apartment where I only had a 4-burner apartment size gas stove, and I had this much space on one side for my utensil holder and my salt, and it never clumped. So I thought, well, if it doesn't clump here, it's not going to clump anywhere. So let's give this a little blend. Hopefully that's not too loud.
I'm going to mute you for while you're doing that. So I'm going to go ahead and put up, CJ from Scotland was saying, Buddhist monks in the East go house to house with a bowl for donations of food, so they end up with a bowl of a variety of food items. And she wonders if that's where the name comes from, and I think that's possible. And so I'm going to unmute. Well, yeah, I think we're close. We're close to being unmuted, but it looks beautiful. Look at that color on there. And look how easy it is to make this incredible sauce too. Okay,
so let's
you're unmuted officially.
So I just gave this a little taste. It's definitely spicy. My husband will love it, but here's the thing that I've learned most from this cooking class that I've been taking. And I will adjust up again so that you're not looking at my hands, because I talk with my hands, as I'm sure you've noticed. This cooking class that I've been taking, it incorporates lots of sauces and things like that. And a lot of times I'm making the sauce and they're like, taste your food, taste your food, taste your food. As we know, before you put it all together, make sure you taste it, see if it needs more seasoning or less or whatever. And so I taste these sauces and sometimes I'm like, oh my goodness, like this is so spicy, or it's just so overpowering the flavor. But what you forget is that you're just using a small amount to season a big bowl of food. And so that you want the sauce to be really impactful. You want it to have a strong, vibrant sort of colorful flavor, so that it's not a bland blah sauce on top of all your beautiful food that you've made. Because really, I mean, nothing else in here has got a super strong flavor except maybe the onion. So let's go back and we'll plate this up. Yeah.
Oh, so pretty already.
Okay. So I've got my bowl. I'm going to get my rice.
And I was going to say, was super impressed that you made your rice on the stove. I haven't done that in so many years that I have to rethink it every time I end up cooking again on the stove.
To be honest with you, it's because I've been taking this course and there's been several modules. So it's definitely refamiliarized me with making rice on the stove. And it is super easy. I mean, this recipe, it was like a cup of rice, a cup and 3/4 of water. You bring it to a boil, you rinse your rice, you make sure you rinse it until the water runs clear. You bring that cup and 3/4 of water and cup of rice to a boil on the stove, and then you turn it down to simmer for 10 to 12 minutes. I set the timer. Once the timer goes off, I just open the pot slightly to make sure the top of the rice sort of looks dry. And then you remove it from the heat and leave it covered, and it was just, it's beautiful fluffy rice. So let's get the beans on there.
Yummers. And Gina says that was the biggest onion she's ever seen. That's awesome.
I know. Our onions are gigantic right now. I don't know where they're coming from. I'm frightened to ask.
And one thing I want to point out too, because each thing that you have on there is less than 1/4 cup. Some things might be just 2 tablespoons. Some things might be 1/4 cup. So really think about all these little bits of leftovers you might have in the fridge, right? Because if you had, I make a big pot of plain rice, but then I'll make it cilantro lime rice if I'm doing Mexican food. So I'll bring out part of that. Some of it I might put some Indian spices in. So making it plain can be a real benefit.
Absolutely agree, 100%. And as I said, this is a very spicy sort of sauce. And so, you take for granted, you fill up a bowl. This is a lot of food. So my husband and I don't eat the bulk of our food during the day. We sit down and eat a meal together at night, usually between about, between 7 and 8 o'clock at night. And so we're just eating very light during the day. And the great thing about these Buddha bowls is even though it's a lot of food, it's still a very light meal because the raw components are mostly composed of water. And so the bulk of your calories are in the rice and the beans. So there's my presentation. I do have cilantro in the fridge, but like I said, I don't really like cilantro. So, but this would be great with cilantro sprinkled on top or fresh parsley, anything else that you could imagine that you like to spice up your bowls with. But yeah, I'm always excited about these.
It's
They're
just
so
lovely.
easy to make. Thanks. And it's really like eat the rainbow. You know, I think that's the biggest thing that I tell folks who are, oh, I just don't have time, or I don't know what to make, or I'm not that creative in the kitchen, or I need to rush. And I think try to pull the things out of your fridge based on color and not based on, what they necessarily are. So I don't think of red pepper, I go red, and I go corn is yellow. Like pull based on color, and then you're going to end up with a beautiful array of food on your plate every time.
I love that. I'm going to switch us back to where we're together again. And also, don't forget, you can look below. That's theveganpotter.com. Now, Kathy has a question. She said, okay, so now would you stir it all together, or is this kind of an a la carte eating? Would you eat your cucumbers and then eat your things, or do you stir it all together?
It's funny because my husband's next move is absolutely to stir this whole thing up and get everything coated with sauce. For me, I was always one of those kids who didn't like things touching on my plate. I liked to eat, and I'm still like that a little bit as an adult because my favorite thing on this plate will be the rice and beans because it's that satisfying comfort food element that's on the plate. And so I will probably eat the vegetables first, paired with each other, and I eat with a fork, and my husband eats with a spoon. So it's everything. He eats everything with a spoon. It's just his MO. And I like to eat everything with a fork unless it's ice cream or soup. So
I like that. Like, once I found out about soup spoons, my life changed. And so I have a special, Cheryl will not eat with the soup spoon, so I'm like, don't touch it. I have it separate from all my other silverware because there's something so satisfying.
Same. I have 4 soup spoons, and I'm the only one that uses those because he just, yeah. This is his size spoon right here.
Oh my gosh, that's like as big as my head.
Exactly.
Oh, and this is funny. And so Kathy said, I'm sure it's whatever you want to do. And then Gina says, there are 2 types of people in the world, those who stir and those who keep food separate. And it's like lots of laugh emojis. And
Totally.
yet Cheryl likes to keep a lot of things separate, but like whenever we do something like that, or, she definitely likes to get it all in there. And this can be a really good way to introduce people to new things too, because then you're just giving them 2 teaspoons of Swiss chard you sauteed with something. So even if they don't like it, chances are it's a better chance going forward. Kathy says she thinks I'm a stirrer, I think, and I like that too. But this was just so wonderful. I know how hard it is to bring pottery, but I really want you to come to our Veg Fest. And I don't know if you know, Helene does a lot of the Southeastern Veg Fests. There's going to be one in Asheville in the fall that I'm going to be at.
When in the fall?
I think it's in October, but we can talk about that. And I can introduce you to Helene.
I would love, Asheville is, I believe, the potter's mecca of the world, of the universe.
I wasn't even thinking about that.
There's more potters per capita, I believe it's Asheville, than anywhere else. So it's definitely on my bucket list in terms of places to visit. There's no question. I just don't know that it's in the cards this year because the house building situation is taking over our lives already. So.
And it will be going on for quite some time. So, Helene does, I think now like 8 or 9, possibly more festivals. She's even doing one in Florida, one in Georgia. She does a lot of them. Wow. So I would love to introduce you anyhow. And in Asheville, it's amazing vegan restaurants. There's Plant, which is all vegan, fancy restaurant that I love. I got this cocktail and it was like they lifted up the smoking thing. Like, I love that stuff. Like, to me, that's I like dinner events sometimes, but they also
the magic
have
of it.
Yeah, and there's so much vegan food. So we've been talking about trying to take maybe like a quick couple day trip there, because it's my favorite place. And you can just walk around and look at art and see all these amazing things. So
that's cool.
Well, fingers crossed that we can maybe hook up and hang out. Even if you don't come to a Veg Fest, maybe we can meet up there.
Absolutely. It would be so fun to come and have someone to visit in that area as well. And you're always welcome up here. There's still Worcester Veg Fest. They call it New England Veg Fest, still goes on.
Because
and
I
now
couldn't say it, probably.
Yeah.
That's why they changed it.
Totally.
Like,
they called it New England instead of Worcester. But there's also Providence Veg Fest, and that's only about an hour from us as well. And we have an amazing restaurant in Providence called Plant City. And that is all of Matthew Kenny's restaurants under one roof.
Oh my goodness.
It's like a vegan food hall experience, which is, So we go there. We make day trips there occasionally just to eat that food.
Oh, I totally want to do that. And Apple's saying, Lyndsay, I adore your bottom heavy mugs, yummy feminine shape.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's awesome.
And
I love
Kathy's
making
saying,
them.
oh, I'm sorry. When I'm looking and I don't see your face, I hate it when I interrupt you. I apologize. Kathy's saying, I need veg community by me. You'd think I know of some because the AHC is here in Cleveland, but I think that's because of the Esselsteins. And, I would love for you guys to all come and meet me at some point. I will tell you when I know for sure. The Asheville Veg Fest is outside, so chances are much higher that no matter what happens that I will be there. But I'm trying to do a lot of live video events. And I just did last night a class for a local plant pod. And Kathy, if you want, email me and I'll find this. But if you look, I think it's Plant Pure Pods. It's Dr. Campbell. So I don't know if you know Kim Campbell at all. She's awesome. And actually she lives in Mebane. She's 30 minutes away from me. And she does a lot of things like that. So they've started the plant pods. That's what I did a demo for last night, but they're all over the world and there might be one there. So
that sounds really cool. I need to investigate that too.
Yeah, and if there's not one by you, you can start one. And so
very cool.
Typically what'll happen, so like sometimes I go to Mebane to theirs, like so I've met Dr. Campbell there at the potluck in the before times, when people went out and did things. But it is kind of nice because everyone would bring a dish that would all be, and they do no oil. So they still do some salt and sugar, just not a lot of it. So it's really easy to make something to take. And then you get to try a little bit of everybody's stuff. And I've done demos for both of the local pods so far, but you'll get to meet a lot of different people. And Lyndsay, we should see if there's a pod near you, because you need something else to do. You don't.
I know. I definitely do. But I'm much like you because I'm a teacher at heart, having taught pottery for 17 years. I totally related to what you said in the beginning, which was like, I only have 16 recipes. Maybe I should make 18. I should teach them the intricacies of this rather than the basics of this. And then you just go, what would I enjoy watching if I knew nothing?
And I do check in with like my best friend. Sometimes I'll be like, what should I do? And she reminds me. Sometimes I need that check-in. You know what? They just want to learn from you. So anything that you're enjoying teaching them, they're going to enjoy learning. And because that's not the first way I think. I know there's some people who do, but I'm definitely imposter syndrome extraordinaire and all of that, like many women are. And so I have to check that. And sometimes like I'll do a whole thing like this and I'll have to say, Cheryl, did you watch? Did I do okay? Because sometimes I don't know. I was just doing the thing. So I'm not judging the thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
always glad to spend more time with you, and hopefully you'll come on. And maybe if you want to come on sometime, or if you want me to share a clip of you making a nice vegan pot, that would also be
I would
welcome.
love to come back on from my pottery studio. It'd be so fun to show you guys how I make some of my kitchenware items,
And
you
see,
know?
I'm dying, like, I love pottery. I've never made any pottery, and because I do food photography and I thrift like a crazy person. So like, and Cheryl's always like, "You're going to kill me with one of those things," because I always have like some sixth graders project because it'll look really good in the on, but it's like 80 pounds.
Yep.
And
Yep,
she's
for
like, "Why
sure.
do you always buy the ugliest little things?" And I'm like, "No, but wait till you see it in the picture, right?" So I have
Exactly.
this little dream of mine that someday I'll get to make at least like some hand build little things. So maybe you need to have a special like vegan pottery camp or retreat.
In my former life, that's all I did. I ran a teaching studio for 17 years. And when I moved my business to Stonington only 4 years ago, I sort of left I put all those other hats on the hat rack and I went, okay, I'm going to wear these two hats now, just making and selling work. But now, as the years go on, I keep putting on, well, now I'm still doing the food recipes. I'm going to put that hat back on. And now I'm doing the online membership, which is teaching also. I'm putting that hat back on. Yeah, you become a serial entrepreneur. You can't help yourself.
Well, it's easy to get really excited about things. Like I get excited, and sometimes a little bit too much. So, oh, Apple's into. Oh, okay, this is Apple has planned it all out for us. Vegan pottery camp. Kathy caters. Lyndsay throws clay. I'm in. And see, it could. We'll have to figure out how we could do it because if we're just doing hand stuff, do we have to have a kiln? Do we have to fire stuff too? So we'd have to figure that
Everything would
out.
have to be fired for sure. Yeah.
Because I'm like, if I'm seeing as I took a photography retreat and it was actually like 2 blocks from the beach. And it was in a nice time. It was like it wasn't summer. So it was like Lyndsay and I were talking before that we don't like summer or hot and all that, but like, a nice autumn breeze and all that. So I'm just seeing us have like maybe we'll in the morning we could have pottery class, in the evenings we could have cooking classes. I got to think about this because I keep threatening.
We when we finish building our house, we'll have to invite you up, and you and I will have to get together in our kitchen. We're designing a circular kitchen because our house is going to be buried underground. It's kind of like a modern day hobbit house.
No
So
way.
it will be right up your alley. Yeah, you will have to
Oh,
invite you. We'll have a guest bedroom and we'll have to invite you up. It would be really fun. But yeah, I'm hoping to do some cooking classes from my house. So
it'll be
we'll see.
amazing. I can't wait to see your
That's the dream.
house. And thank
Thanks.
you so much for just coming on and sharing all of your great information and yourself with us. And see, this is why you should always tune into Plant Based Chat because I know the best people. But everybody, if you're a little bit tired, just remember if you have an instant pot or a rice cooker or something like that, go ahead and just make some rice now for later. If an instant pot or a rice cooker will keep it warm for you, so you can go about your rest of your day. Open a can of beans. There's nothing wrong with that. It's
Nope.
like Lyndsay was saying earlier, it's fine to buy salsa or make salsa. And sometimes it depends. If I have a good salsa, I'm going to open it up. If I don't, then I add some stuff to crushed tomatoes. There's no moral judgment about if you cut up your butternut squash yourself. Oh, let's go back. If you grew the butternut squash or you're best friends with your farmer, to picking it, breaking it down and using it versus going to Trader Joe's and getting some from the freezer. You do what you need to do, feed yourself, take good care of yourself. And Fran says, I do know the best people. Agreed. It is true. And I'm learning, I get to meet even more people, which is great.
You have the best
Oh,
community, Kathy.
I really do. I am so grateful for all the wonderful people. And Apple says, I cannot give as many likes as I want for this conversation. Thank you so much. I'm sitting here with a huge grin on my face.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
That's so sweet.
Well, and Lyndsay, everybody make sure go to Vegan Potter. Did I tempt you into doing that possible vegan pottery thing we were talking about, or is that not discussable yet?
Which one were we discussing?
That maybe there would be like a monthly vegan pottery membership where you got a piece of vegan.
You definitely, no, we should definitely talk about that. We need to make that a thing, and I will make sure that I work on that in the next month or so. So Kathy and I were talking prior to this live about how I have a mug mystery club where you can sign up, for a minimum, I think it's in their own 3-month commitment, and I send you a mug every month, but they're just random mugs of different colors and shapes and sizes. And Kathy suggested, wouldn't it be cool if you did that with one of the vegan items? And then it would include probably, like, I've got up here a couple of, this is my newest, rendition of the vegan bowls, and they come in different colors. And then this is one of my older versions, which I need to make some more of these because they're currently out of stock. I have a hard time keeping them in stock. But yeah, it would be really fun to do a vegan membership where you don't know what you're going to get. It would be a mystery box every month, and there might be a few little extra nibbly goodies in there, like a little vegan chocolate or something too. Ooh. I've been popping those in some of my mailers lately. Yeah.
I like that.
It would be fun.
I would be willing
to reminded me
to give you a recipe or something too if you wanted. But
that would be so fun.
And I'm going to ask, this is probably a faux pas, but so I got this in Texas a long time ago, and I believe it is handmade. I can't find it anymore, and I take pictures with this.
Put it up to the camera. I think I know that potter. What does it say on it?
Nutritional
I do know
yeast.
That potter.
Nutritional star.
She's another vegan potter who's out west, and she's wonderful.
She used to have this on Etsy. I went and looked again, and she doesn't have any on there. So if she can make more and you know her, tell her to email me with the link that I can.
I will.
Because I was going to say, if it's not available anymore, would you consider making some kind of nutritional yeast container or something like that?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like she's updated it too, and she just writes Nooch on the front.
There were like 4 different kinds. And I got this when I was in Austin at Rabbit Foods, like
awesome,
a long time ago.
Yeah, I've connected with, I don't know her personally, but you connect with people via the social media portal. And I've directed people to her who are on the West Coast, and I'm like, there's vegan potters all over the place.
Yes.
And I always am a proponent of supporting your local potters. I know potters in Canada, so if you're in a particular part of Canada, I follow some people I can probably direct you to. They're not calling themselves the vegan potter, but there's a lot of vegans who are also potters out there.
Well, I love it.
They're wonderful, and we all make different work. It's great.
It's true, and there's so much goodness. And you do need something to keep your This was like a super splurge for me at that time, because I think this was like, I don't know, like $55 or something. But yeah. I've used it forever, and it's been in so many photo shoots and things like that.
It's way better than this, Kathy. It's way better than this.
You do what you have to do. If you see my flour drawer, other than having flour mounded up in the bottom of the drawer, they're in little plastic containers. Now, Tiffany, I don't know if you know Tiffany Wilkerson, but she is awesome, and she does some amazing jarred salad stuff. So you would love her. She wants to know where she can find that cool Vegan Magic shirt.
I want to say this might be Compassion Company.
Okay.
Out in California. I'm going to double check, but I want to say, because I probably bought this the same year that I met you, actually. I know I bought it at New England Veg Fest. And I want to say it might be Compassion Company, or it's a California-based company. But if I'll look when we get off, and I'll try to, if you leave a comment on the video, I'll probably be able to comment back.
Okay, and most people are commenting on YouTube, so
awesome.
Yeah, so that should be easy if you put the stuff there. And Gina says, I have an eighth of a cup measuring cup waiting for my nooch clay pot. Mine came with it.
Yeah, that for sure it would need
And
to come
this
with
little
it
wire
because
thing in there, I just think it's brilliant. And
it
again,
is
you
brilliant.
have your style, but I know I could also see your version or what I think could be your version too. So I could always
Yeah, it
have
would be super
two.
fun.
I buy nooch by the pound.
I do too. I do too. It's a staple.
Well, I'm not going to keep you from your lunch anymore. Again, thank you so much. And I definitely want to have you back on. And so does everyone else, obviously. And I
Thanks
just
so
want to
much, you
say,
guys.
since it's Monday, we're starting our week. If you've got just a little bit of energy, like I said, maybe do something towards dinner so you don't have to panic later on. Maybe pull that can of beans out just to remind you that I can squish them up with spices and put them on the rice that's in my fridge right now and let that be that. If you can do something that's towards your goal, like maybe make sure you add some vegetables or some lettuce or take a little walk. And then if you have a little extra energy, be nice to someone or something else. Max is going to get mine. I hear him coming upstairs now, my pupper. But you guys have an amazing week. I will be back for sure on Saturday at 1 p.m. I'm going to do my CSA unboxing all summer long, and I'm excited about that. And other than that, have an amazing week. Bye.